Here's a question. Are Black Lives Matter activists social reformers, or as Ted Nugent called them, vicious thugs? I'm Will, this is Slothwala, so let's talk about it. So our buddy Ted Nugent, he's quite the intellectual. I like to think of him as like the epicenter of deep thoughts coming from the Republican Party. I have some of his quotes right here. I'll read you my two favorite. Number one, of course, is, "I vow I'll use our freedom to get these dirty cocksuckers out of the White House. The president is a bad man. The vice president is a bad man. And if you don't get that, you're a dead motherfucker." And, of course, the most deepest of all thoughts ever, "Wang dang sweet poontang." Oh. All jokes aside, though, the idea that Black Lives Matter activists are vicious thugs is built on some pretty shaky ground. You normally hear this argument coming from people who say, all they do is loot, shoot, and burn shit down. Oh, Matlock, you know who you are. And then the sister argument to this one is that they give a bad name to the black community because all they do is break laws. I can really only take on one of these at a time, so I'm going to start with the idea that all they do is loot, shoot, and burn shit down. So, Black Lives Matter activists. Looters? No, 100 times. The Black Lives Matter movement has never, does not, and will never advocate for looting or rioting. You see, there are cowards who go out during the Black Lives Matter protest and use it kind of as an excuse to get crazy and wild out and smash fucking cop cars with baseball bats, but those people's connection to the Black Lives Matter movement runs no deeper than a tweet and a hashtag. Religion has the same problem. See, Joseph Kony is still out there slaughtering people in the name of God, but we don't associate the actions of Joseph Kony with all Christians. We don't go up to Joel Osteen and be like, yo dude, you're a fucking murderer. Because he's not. Because you can't just generalize people like that. My sister said something one time when I was a little bit less open-minded and I was more trying to... I think I made a Catholic pedophile joke. And, at that time I was somewhat liberal, but she looked at me and she said, not all Catholics are pedophile in the same way not all Muslims are terrorists. And it's true. You can't just generalize a group of people because of what a few of them do. And I know it may seem like I'm preaching to the choir here, and of course all of you know that, but trust me, there are some more conservative people out there who really do think BLM or Black Lives Matter is all about looting and burning shit down. Matlock, you know who you are. So, on to point two, the idea that the Black Lives Matter protesters are somehow not real protesters because real protesters don't break laws. While there is a no true Scotsman fallacy in there, there is some truth to what they said. Black Lives Matter protesters do break laws a lot. There are many cases of them impeding the flow of traffic, parading without a permit, I believe is what it's called. Several different laws they've broken while protesting. But they're kind of following in the footsteps of some giants. Gandhi and his followers broke several laws with their infamous Salt March. Dr. King spoke in great detail about when it's kind of okay to break laws. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically said, someone who breaks a law and willingly accepts the penalty, whether it be imprisonment or a fine, and they do that in protest, isn't showing a disregard or a disrespect for the law. They're actually showing the highest level of respect for the law. Because they're creating a disturbance, and they're saying to society, I'm willing to accept the penalty. Just pay attention to what I'm saying. Look at me. It's almost like a cry for attention. And that's what the Black Lives Matter protesters are doing. They're being dicks, blocking off traffic, but, they're getting coverage for their cause. I'd kind of like to point out a double standard here, too. No one had a problem when the Occupy protesters were loitering, trespassing, and impeding the flow of traffic, or parading without a permit. People were fine with that. No one said these guys aren't real protesters because they're breaking laws, but I have a hypothesis. People sympathize with the Occupy movement. People could understand that. People could grasp that. But almost half of our nation doesn't feel like police brutality is a problem. They don't feel like it's something that really happens. And that's the thing. They lack the empathy to feel the pain of Tamir Rice's mother. they can't even imagine in their heads, or they haven't tried to send your son off to the park and he goes out to play. Some watchful citizen calls 911 and says, "Hey, there's a little boy here with a gun. I think it's a toy, but you should check it out." And then minutes later, a cop car comes flying over the curb, and within 2 seconds of the wheels of that cop car touching the curb and flying over, the cop had gotten out, pulled his gun, and shot Tamir Rice dead that quickly. No one feels that empathy. No one thinks about what it's like to be them. The same half of America that lacks the empathy to feel the pain of Tamir Rice's mother. Matlock, you know who you are. Those are going to be the same type of people that try and tell you Trayvon was trespassing and Rodney King was resisting. Resisting. I think when you take all this into consideration, you can come to the clear conclusion that the Black Lives Matter protesters aren't some vicious group of thugs, but they're actual real people trying to make a change in the world. And you're really degrading what they're trying to do, and you're becoming part of the problem when you label them as vicious thugs. But the discussion doesn't end here. If you have a different view on how this all shakes out, we'd like to hear it. You can leave a comment below to keep the discussion going, or head over to our Facebook page where the discussion is always ongoing. And as always, do all you can do and think complexly. Will from Slothwala.
Come on. And please don't come around these parts. They tell me that we all a bunch of animals. The only time they wanna turn the cameras on is when we fucking shit up. Come on, bullets still ringing, blood on the cement, black folks grieving.